It is just a huge, huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing a role model, idol, and legend to me personally, Howard Klein, who started his career in the healthcare communications arena, working for several prominent New Jersey-based hospitals and healthcare systems before joining Lanmark360 in 1999 as public relations manager. Over the course of 5 years, Howard received 5 promotions within the agency, with his 5th being the most prominent position of all, president. 3 short years later, he took over full leadership as owner with an above and beyond approach that he applies to all aspects of his work, coupled with his no is not an option philosophy and an extensive background in building and repositioning brands from the ground up. Howard has contributed to the success of many prominent companies, including industry giants such as Dentsply Sirona, Colgate, Wrigley. Lanmark360 specializes in marketing products, services, and technologies to and through dental professionals and is committed to making lives healthier. And it's so funny because over the years, people had taken Mount Rushmore and made Mount Howard more. And the first time I saw it out on the internet, it was me, you, Howard Horrocks of New Patients Inc., and Howard Goldstein, who does the message boards and online See a Dental Town. And then I just saw it recently. This time it's Howard Chastelon, the great periodontist in Florida. Me, you, Howie Horrocks again, Howard Goldstein again, and most people don't know this, but Rich Maddow, his middle name's Howard, so you got to throw him in there, Rich Maddow with the TBSC. But I love the joke. Instead of how are you doing, Howard, are you doing? And I got to ask you, does your mother call you Howard or Howie?
So my mother calls me Howie.
Yeah.
Growing up, my name was primarily Howie, and through college, it kind of transitioned to Howard, and mostly in the professional world, it's Howard. But when I started hitting like 10 years or so in dentistry, I think the Howie started to come out more and more. So I go by both now, Howie or Howard.
One of the guys that built this company was Pete Janicki. I mean, he ran the wholesale side. He was over a decade. He went from professional baseball. What was he for, the San Diego Padres?
Yeah.
And I got his baseball card. And but my God, whenever he said Howard, I never knew the whole 10 years he was here if he's talking about me or you. You were no, I'm serious, man. Marketing is bizarre because you've got to understand how a human thinks. And if you don't know math, you can't measure it. If you don't know biology, if you don't know how sapiens think, you don't have a chance. And guys like you who always know marketing, you're always really smart people who know math, physics, chemistry, and biology, applied biology, how they think, how they see things. Like, I don't know, this might be a big distraction, but I noticed like today, the California Dental Association, they started their own dental supply company, right? TDS, the dental supply company. We had him on the show, the director of that. That was episode, what episode was that? That was episode 1163, Michael Wilgus, director of the Dental Supply Company. But anyway, they just announced today that they did a deal with Stan Bergman, who's been on the show, with Henry Schein, and they're going to do dental supplies direct. But I always think it's funny that whenever something like that comes out, I know how my homies are going to think. And sure enough, on the message board, it blew up and saying, well, I've been buying from Henry Schein for all these years, and now they're going to get a better deal here, or something like that to that set. So you got to know the psychology of how you're going to position that, because if you're selling to me, I think I'm your best customer. But then I find out, if I join a club, and every humans are so complex, and it's so how you position it, and you always I'm not going to say you're an alcoholic, but we've always met at bars, at meetings late.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, it might have been Howie Horrocks, and you always talked about positioning.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen. I just don't remember.
But, you got to talk about positioning and how that works. But the other thing that I like about you is we've been in this industry too long. I mean, so long that every rodeo we see, it's the second or third time we've seen it. Like take the consolidation breakup cycle. I mean, when I got out of college, there were 100. Every town had a dental supply company, and every town had their own breweries. Like in dental school, I'd never go to a bar because the drink was like $5 because you could go to the store and buy a case of Wiedelmann for $2.99. It's like, I don't want an umbrella and a fancy straw. I want the whole case of beer. And there was a dental supply company in every town. And then it started the consolidation, and about in the middle, about 15 years ago, it was like just basically Shine, Patterson, Burkhart, Benko, and a few little ones, and just Budweiser, Coors, and Miller Lite, and a few little ones. And then it starts once it gets all consolidated, then the best idea is, well, let's break it all up. And now we're back to the beginning where there's a dental supply company. They're starting all the time. There's groups everywhere. And now the microbreweries are back. So we just go from consolidating to deconsolidating. And it makes me wonder about the DSOs, because unfortunately, I get a lot of emails. I'm a journalist, and I've owned my own media company since 1994. And if you have a source, if you can't quote it, you can't quote it. But there's some DSOs that are very highly leveraged in the private equity market, and so I almost wonder if the get a big line of credit started with 87 of the Orthodontic Centers of America, where he realized that the house that sells the 3-bedroom 2-bath. The NFL players go bankrupt because when they break their ankle, they can't sell their 19 bedrooms, 9-car garage. It's just a liquid. And Lazarus knew that if you had an orthodontic practice for sale for $1 million, it was liquid. But if you had one where 2 or 3 or 4, it was an illiquid asset. So you got a big line of credit and started consolidating Orthodontic Centers of America. Then it went bankrupt and fell, and then the cycle was back, and now it's back again. So now I almost wonder if this market tanks, if it should go south, and it has to, because I graduated from high school, 88 crash. I graduated 87, May 11, 87, and the market tanked 133 days later, Black Monday, when it dropped 26%. We watched the Y2K bubble pop. We watched Lehman's pop. And this market has no legs. I mean, it's the only thing it's attached to is a dream. And it makes me wonder if the DSOs, when you talk to their captains, they obviously think linear. Like, well, I went from one office to 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 1 million. We'll all be working at CVS and Walgreens. But they don't understand the business cycle, which my favorite Austrian economist who got the Nobel Prize, Schumpeter, said the business cycles, what goes up must come down, and it's always a wave. So I wanted to ask you, for my own selfish purposes, where is dentistry at?
Well, what I could say, Howard, is certainly by far I'm not an economist, but I've been in the industry directly for coming up on 21, 22 years now. And, I have dentistry in my blood. My father is a retired dental lab technician. He ran a fairly large lab in New York for, more than half of his life. And I spent a good part of my life growing up in that lab. And the one thing about the dental industry that stands true is it is a resilient industry. And everyone always pulls together, and everyone always gets through even the hardest of the times. So I have no reservation at all that this industry will definitely, survive and prosper. I mean, we're all going through challenging times right now, but between the trade and then between the, professionals themselves and everyone pulling together, we're going to get through this. And we're already seeing it happen. Consumers, patients, they have a lot of confidence in their dentists and in their dental teams. They have very close relationships and trust with their hygienists. We recently actually conducted some research with consumers, and some of the feedback that we got was really, really, really comforting. Not only are patients ready and eager to get back to their dentist, but they also really view oral care as something that's very important. And I think that that's an indication of the great work that we've all done together to help patients realize how important it is to see their dentists and their dental teams regularly, and to also have good, home care. And, part of that is just this statistic that is really amazing, in that we asked patients what they were going to do first when the pandemic was over. And we compared going to the dentist to other important lifestyle events. And consumers actually viewed going to the dentist as being more important than going to get their haircuts after the pandemic. And they were going to go see their dentist before they were going to get their haircut. And, that was just amazing to me, because throughout the pandemic, I mean, everyone you talked to, every Zoom meeting you went in, everybody made comments about their hair. Everyone had hats on. People couldn't wait to get back to their hairdressers, to get back to their barbers, to get their haircut. People were cutting their hair at home. I mean, you go on to social media and you saw people, doing different things, having their spouses, having their, boyfriends, girlfriends cut their hair. But yet people viewed going to the dentist as more important than getting their haircut, which, for me, I thought was a really great indication of the amazing work that the industry has done as a whole, between the trade and between the professionals, to really drive home the point to patients how important it is to keep your regular visits. And, we did see a huge drop. I mean, it didn't take research to know that people were not going to see their hygienist, going to see their dentist when dental practices across the nation were closed. And, even when some of the practices state by state started to open, slowly patients were returning. But, at this point, we are seeing production growing and getting back to its normal levels. And, the industry on the trade side just, is pushing forward. And we've seen, some innovation has come out in the industry as a direct result of, the learnings that came from having to practice during a pandemic. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to continue to see some more innovation, new product introductions, new technologies, new ways of treating patients that all came as a result of learnings from being forced to do things differently.
Howie, don't you think that was a little passive aggressive to bring up hair like 9 times when I'm sitting here? And then you brought up girlfriends, which is even more passive aggressive. I was with my girlfriend last night, and she says, "Are you cheating on me?" And I said, "Now you're starting to sound like my wife." And my gosh, you said so many profound things, but I really have been liking your. I was reading on some of the work you've been doing, and it says you were talking about is being able to return to your dentist more or less important than other things, and the dental appointment came in at 3.19, the haircut was 2.79, and why do people need a haircut when they could just shave their head and look gorgeous? Pet grooming, 1.68. Going to restaurants, 2.34. That is crazy. But, I found one interesting thing about your survey that caught my eye. It says you said you had a survey of over 275 consumers was conducted about identified drivers and barriers that could impact a patient's willingness to rapidly return to dental practice. Almost 60% of survey respondents were female, and we all know that females make all the dental appointments. I mean, hell, I've had a dental office for 32 years. You ask any man like you, for insurance, I need your kid's birthday. You're like, I'm like, really? You don't even know when your kid was born? Was there a jack-o'-lantern on the front porch or a Christmas tree? But the wife always knows. She's like, oh, yeah, Billy, he was born 3/24, 61 or whatever. And so females I got, largest age segment, 45 to 60. That's the dental driver. But I thought it was interesting. You said the largest income segment, the income segment is between $25,000 and $49,000. And I just want to remind all you young kids in dental kindergarten school that the DSOs, like especially like Heartland, Aspen, they target, incomes of 60,000 or more. And it's Aspen and Bob Fontana that's going where they ain't, and he's going to the Medicare population. And my gosh, he's very focused on the lower income. Do you think the DSOs and the dentists are correct? Like when they come out of dental school in Arizona, they always want to go to Rich Scottsdale. And I'm like, dude, there's a dentist on every corner in Scottsdale. But if you go 40 minutes out of town to Eloy, they still don't even have a dentist. And why is it that every dentist wants to be Ruth Chris Steakhouse and none of them want to be McDonald's or Burger King? I mean, why? Bob Fontana, he wants to be Burger King. I mean, he's going right there, and he's got his own lab tech. I mean, LMT should do an article on that. You know, he's got a lab tech in there. And I lost my uncle. To Aspen because if he comes to me for free, he's got to drop it off in the morning and come. And I send it to the lab and in the afternoon. He goes, well, Howie, if I just go to them, I just sit in the waiting room and they do it right there. And, you know, money's, you know, it's not about money. It's about convenience. But do you think dentists are targeting, do you think they're too Ruth Chris and not enough McDonald's?
Well, I think that there's a lot of choice, right? Like, I mean, when you say McDonald's and you compare that to dentistry, the first thing that comes to my mind is what we see happening with Walmart and the fact that, you know, dental practices are being, you know, opened in Walmarts across the country. And if that continues to be as successful as it seems it is during its beginning stages, I mean, every Walmart is going to have a dental practice in it. So to me, that's your, you know, McDonald's of dentistry. And I think that there's a great need for that. I think that there's a patient demographic that is going to find that to be not only convenient, but from a cost standpoint, I think it's wonderful because it helps to increase access and it helps to ensure that, you know, everyone at all levels, you know, there's an option for them, and it helps to make care more affordable and more competitive. But, you know, at the same time, while a lot of people shop at Walmart, you know, there's still Nordstrom's everywhere. So I think that there's a need for both to allow choice. And, you know, there's some people that can shop at Nordstrom's, but they just like shopping at Walmart because that's just a better fit for them. So, you know, all in all, I think it comes down to, you know, choice for the patient as well as choice for the professional. You know, for the new students that are graduating and starting practices, there are a lot of benefits to joining a DSO. There's a lot of benefits to, you know, going and working for, you know, more of a corporate practice like a Walmart than, you know, going right into owning your own business. If that's what you have an appetite for. You know, not everybody, I think, has an appetite for being a business owner. And, you know, especially in today's challenging times, I think it's getting harder and harder to be a small business owner. So, you know, these new options, I think, are a very good fit for a lot of the new graduating doctors that are entering the field. But I do think that there needs to be a balance maintained, and I do feel confident that there's always going to be that balance, and there's always going to be those higher end, you know, high tech practices in, you know, upscale areas, and I think there's always going to be a need for that.
Yeah, but you know, that's another great thing about being old, besides just having diabetes and can't see and typing with my fat thumbs. Whenever I type in www, it always comes out we. WEE. It's like, really? You're a smartphone. You can't figure out that we means www. But you know, how many rodeos have I lived through with Walmart going into dentistry? Member Sears, member, you know, all that kind of stuff like that. I think a lot of people, I think unless you're a dentist, you just don't get how hard it is to do a root canal, a filling, and a crown. And everybody, you know, and as far as the pharmacies, the pharmacists, they don't even need to exist. I remember the first time I lectured in Paris, France, this guy was telling me that he loads a prescription on their smart card, and then they go to an ATM machine. I said, what? And he took me, and we did it. And my God, you know, he puts it in, and a bottle comes out, and the pills come out of a hopper, and a label switch on. You open the door and take it out. And I'm looking at that machine, and it's made right here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Wow. So when I got back, I said, well, why aren't you here? And he goes, well, why do you think I'm not here? It's a trade union. It's a labor group, and they're never going to give, the state board of pharmacies never going to give us a permission to automate their job. But, dude, try doing that with a root canal. How long do you think it'd take that ATM machine to find the MB2, get to the bottom, get it all cleaned out? And I don't know. I think young kids want jobs, And I think it takes them 5 years to get out of school, and we graduate 6,000 a year, maybe 6,500. So I think there's about a 30,000 young dentists play that want to go take orders from someone else while they're young and learning how to do their basic fillings, root canals, crowns, basic stuff. But after 5 years, don't you think the mindset of the person who went to 8 years of college to be a dentist really wants to work for you and take orders? Now, there are a lot of personalities that I've met, and they're friends of mine out here that have been happy in DSOs, and the reason they don't want to own their own business because they don't want to give orders. They just, that's not their personality type. A guy like you is a natural-born leader. There's a lot of kids that come out of dental school that are shy and humble and quiet, and they couldn't even imagine telling a hygienist, blah, 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 blah. They'd rather take orders and give orders. Nothing wrong with that, but I think that there's about 30,000 kids that the DSOs get to work with. And then as far as how many dentists prefer taking orders versus giving orders, I'd say it's 80% would rather give orders than take orders because you can figure that out in their job turnover. I mean, if they've been out of school 5 years, they've had 5 different jobs. So 5 different people, and everybody talks about the DSOs. Most of those jobs are in private sector. The DSO hires a lot, but there's, Heartland with 1,000 offices, when there's 1,500 general dentists that work 32 hours a week or more offices, they don't even have 1% of the market. The majority of these jobs are with small town, mom and pop family practices, and they quit there after a year. And they do that 5 times, and it seems like 4 out of 5 dentists are only happy until they don't take orders from anybody anymore. And then I say, okay, and now you're going to go get married? Really? Why did your logic break down? I'm just kidding. But you probably didn't come on the show today to want to talk about DSOs, and I wanted to talk to you more. Other things you had on your report, you said, did you have a scheduled dental appointment that was canceled? Over 50% of respondents fell behind on their dental care due to canceled appointments. There was a lot of pent-up demand. They closed us down from St. Patrick's Day, and I'm 100% Irish, so I didn't find out about it till the next day, when I woke up and sobered up a little bit. And then they closed us down on Cinco de Mayo, which first I thought was great. I just went to Macayo's and started drinking margaritas. But 2 months of nothing, that's a lot of pent-up demand.
Yeah.
So when we opened back up, we had patients that were so mad that we were closed. And how much of that pent-up demand is why the ADA is saying we're running at about 70% normal? And when that pent-up demand catches up, are you thinking we're going to have a fall slump? Do you think we're going to flatten out? Or do you think we're going to keep trending upwards to pre-pandemic levels?
I hope we keep trending upwards, but I think at minimum, it's going to flatten out and get, back to just, the steady rates that the industry was running. I mean, there definitely, was pent-up demand, which I think it's a good thing, though, that, patients actually realize the importance of returning and that it wasn't just one of those things that went by the wayside. There definitely still is a percentage of patients that have not made their appointments and are not going back to the dentist because they are afraid, but they're not just afraid of going to the dentist and, the hazards that they perceive might come along with that. I mean, these are the people that also are not going to eat even for outdoor dining. These are the people that aren't leaving their homes. I mean, they're just not ready to get back to life yet. And going to the dentist just falls within all the other things that they've put on hold because of their fear of the pandemic. And with that, we partnered recently with the Dental Trade Alliance, and we put together a series of social media videos. And these are social media videos for dental practices to use to communicate to their patients. And the message that we're delivering is, and when I say I mean, this is a message that comes from the dental practice to their patients. We're ready if you're ready. And it's a very simple message that's basically telling the patient, we're here for you when you're ready. And, the idea behind that is to not pressure anyone. As important as dental care is, we don't want to pressure anyone who's not ready to return yet. But if they are ready to return, they can feel good knowing that, the practice that they're going to is ready and it's safe and, equipped to meet their needs. And, just like they're getting back to going to eat, just like they're, going to get their haircuts. There I go again with the haircuts.
There you go, getting all passive aggressive again.
It's time for them to get back to taking care of themselves and taking care of their oral health. So those are a great series of videos. They're completely free.
Now you're talking about your website now. So where are my homies going to find those videos? That's at thedentalgeek.com?
No, I think they're on the Dental Geek, but the direct link is postforpatients.com.
Postforpatients.com?
Post for my patients.
I know it's weird how that Alzheimer's just slowly starts creeping in. And, post plural.
Post plural. Post for my patients.
There it is. Yeah, and your industry partners is the Dental Trade Alliance. So talk about your journey there. Why are you doing this with the Dental Trade Alliance?
So this is the second series of videos that we did during the pandemic. So when the pandemic first hit and the practices were closed, we had some available time at Lanmark360. About 85% of the work that we do here is all within the dental industry. So with so much uncertainty, there was a lot of the projects we were working on were put on hold. And we were, working with our clients to, figure out how to pivot, figure out how to reallocate funds and, see how we needed to react and respond during these times. And, with that, we realized that patients were also stuck at home and dental practices were closed. And we wanted to provide a way for dental practices to stay in touch with their patients. So we created a initial series of videos that also is found on that same site, postformypatients.com. And those were videos that were used to stay in touch with patients. And they were kind of like fun, lighthearted videos that gave very friendly tips on things that you can do while you're stuck at home. And, it tied in, some of them tied in with oral care and some of it were just some general tips, but it was just a nice way for patients to be reminded of the importance of doing good home care during the pandemic while they were stuck at home, and kept that line of communication open between them and between their dental practices until practices opened again. And then the second series of videos came out more recently when dental practices started to reopen. And, our partnership with the DTA is longstanding. We've been a member of the DTA and we've partnered with the DTA on several projects through our company's history. And, probably goes back to the Great Recession, I think 2008, 2009. And a lot of patients we saw were putting dental care on hold due to the poor economy. And we launched a consumer campaign with the Dental Trade Alliance then, and that was Oral Healthcare Can't Wait. And that was a very successful campaign that also, partnered with dentists and hygienists and other dental professionals across the country, giving them the tools, giving them the resources that they need to get the information out to their patients that oral healthcare can't wait during these challenging times. So when this pandemic hit, that's, when we started to think back, remembered that campaign that we did and said, how do we do something like that to help us all through this pandemic and to, do our part to give back to the industry. So contacted our friends at the DTA and we were able to mobilize the team quickly, and we were able to put our heads together and launch this awesome campaign.
So it's kind of funny because I'm going to get all these kids in trouble by their IT director, because I've been to Post for My Patients, and it says download it, and it's downloaded in a zip file. And I don't know what your IT guy is, but if I open up a zip file, Ken Scott, who is the programmer at Dental Town back the original 1998. He's been here the whole time. He'd probably beat me to death. But are you going to say live on video that it's okay for me to open this zip file?
It is 100% okay for you to open up that zip file. And the other way that you also could share the videos without having to download anything is to just simply go to the share button. And if you hit the share button, you could share those directly on your Facebook page. You could share those directly on your Instagram page. And you don't have to go through the trouble or the potential risk of
but the first one, dude, is the haircut. You really think I'm going to share that? I just really, Howie? You think I'm that? So when you share that on Twitter, what's your Twitter? What's Lanmark360's Twitter?
So our Facebook page and our Instagram page, we don't have a Twitter page, but you could go to our Facebook page. You can go. Yeah, you can go to our Instagram page.
You got a share button you got a share button for the Twitter though.
Yeah, so we have the share button for those dental practices that use Twitter. So we wanted to provide that option.
Okay. Well, I'm doing it right as we speak, so just see if it
awesome.
works. Yeah, and thank you guys for the dental town. And I seriously, I want to thank my homies. I mean, my God, 26,000 of you follow me on Twitter, 20,000 on Instagram, and 41,000 on LinkedIn. Thanks for doing that. That's really cool. So
amazing.
they wouldn't really want to go to Dental Geek. I'll come back to that. But these are all at Post for My Patients. And they have 4. One's a haircut video. Hair getting long, ready for a cut. After that, why not make an appointment to see your dentist? If you're ready, we're ready. The second one, and road trip. Tired of staying home? When you're ready to get out there, make an appointment and get into your dental office. We're here for you. 3 is restaurant. Been waiting to eat at your favorite restaurant? What else have you been waiting for? Get back into your routine. Make an appointment at your dental practice. And video number 4, do you miss going to the movies? At least you can still see your dentist and hygienist. Make an appointment today. It's probably been a while. And those are some really cool videos. And so you made those?
Yes. So the Lanmark360 team made those in conjunction with the DTA. So
I want to ask you because we're dentists. We study 8 years of root canals, fillings, and crowns. You're a marketing guru. So my first question to you is, why do you use Vimeo file? Vimeo? As opposed to like YouTube or just upload your own MP4. So explain to Vimeo, and why would a marketing genius like you choose Vimeo over YouTube?
Yeah, it's just an easy platform for sharing videos and playing videos. It's just another video player. I mean, we could have essentially done the same thing with YouTube, but our tech guys chose this platform for this particular project, and Vimeo tends to be the platform of choice for us sharing, videos that are then going to be, shared with others.
All right. Well, I just shared all 4. So if you're driving down the car, don't wreck and make an accent. Just go to Twitter at Howard Ferran, twitter.com, just at Howard Ferran. And I've shared all 4 of those videos for you. I wanted to ask you another question. You said that during this time you've had some time off. And I just think you're a really cool guy. And so I just want to ask you, does DMD stand for Doctors of Dental Medicine or Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy? And why did you, was that something you did in your downtime with the Jar of Hope, and where does that come from?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for bringing that up. So we do have a program at Lanmark360. It's something that's been in place for about 6 years now. And, our program is to turn downtime into uptime. So anytime any team members have downtime, we encourage them to use that downtime towards uptime. And that uptime is putting their talent, putting their skills, putting their expertise towards helping others and towards making a difference. So with that, we adopted a local nonprofit organization, Jar of Hope, and they are a foundation that is dedicated to finding a cure for DMD, otherwise known as Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And the founder of that organization is James Raffone, and his son has been battling this devastating disease now for about 11 years. And our relationship with the founder and with the foundation itself grew through the years. And at this point in time, actually, the Jar of Hope Foundation runs its office out of our office. And they actually have space within the Lanmark360 facility. And we help them to organize and promote and market all of their events, fundraising activities, build their donor base. And I'm a board member on Jar of Hope. So Jar of Hope is a really wonderful organization committed to this great cause of finding a cure. They have 8 boys right now that are actually going through a study, and fortunately, the results are looking very promising. And that's just one of the many areas that the Lanmark360 team chooses to turn their downtime into uptime, and really do what they can whenever they can to make a difference.
And just for the people who don't understand, is Duchenne muscular dystrophy, is that the Jerry Lewis telethon?
No. So it's a rare.
I mean, is it the same disease as the Jerry Lewis telethon?
It's relatable in that it's a very rare form of muscular dystrophy, and it affects about 30,000 children in the U.S. And primarily boys, but it does affect girls. And typically, by the age of 20, the patients are usually wheelchair bound, and it's a muscle wasting disease. And over time, they eventually do end up immobile, and they end up in a wheelchair. And that's been the big fight for Jamesy. He's the boy that Jar of Hope was founded after. James Anthony Raffone is actually his initials, and that's where the jar comes from in Jar of Hope.
Oh,
and, he's fortunately been fighting hard. And
what's his name? Jar is for
James Anthony Raffone. So he goes
Raffone,
Raffone. And there's actually right now, as we speak, there's a group of 6 men that are doing a walk from Washington, D.C. to Old Bridge, New Jersey. They started 3 days ago, and they're scheduled to make it to their final destination, which is All American Ford in Old Bridge. All American Ford is a very big sponsor and supporter of Jar of Hope. And that's their final destination. They've been stopping at Ford dealers along the way. And all these Ford dealers across the country have been doing their part to raise money for Jar of Hope. And they're raising money for these courageous men that are walking from Washington, D.C. to Old Bridge, New Jersey, sleeping outside in tents.
That is, gosh darn, every time. It doesn't really bother me when old grandpas. I like when the other day, a great friend just died. He was 92 years old, and it was like one of my friends said, it's hard to feel sad because, I mean, God dang, he lived at 92, great family. I mean, he was the all-American dream. How do you be sad for 92? And I said, well, you don't be sad. He had a great life, and, all great things come to an end. That doesn't bother me. I mean, I was just like, wanted to fist bump all my friends that missed him. But, man, when a 9-year-old you see in a wheelchair or a 21-year-old, and the founder of McDonald's, when he died, Ray Kroc, he put all of his money in the middle diseases, and it was like MD, multiple sclerosis. It was all the diseases as it takes you out in your prime. He says, I don't care, if someone dies when they're 100 or 80 or 70, he says, but what's just killer is in that middle when the life is just getting going and boom, it's just destroyed. That's so good at you for that. I forgot to read some of those other ads. Some of them are even great. I read the top 4, but number 5. Video. While you're stuck at home, stick with your routine. Brushing at least twice daily helps prevent cavities, and don't forget your dog. Keep going until we see you again, and remember, your dentist is always there for you. Number 6 is floss. I don't know, why would you make one on floss when the New York Times said that there was no scientific proof for floss, and I guess it was just a mystery. Says your hygienist always knows when you're not flossing. Now's a good time to do something about it. Maintain good dental health until we meet again, and if you have an issue, give us a call. I mean, just and you can tell genius because it's just so succinct. I remember listening to 4 comedians, Seinfeld and 3 other great ones, Chris Rock and some others. They all said the same thing. They'd write a joke on Monday, and the only goal for the next 5 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is take one word out of that joke. Less is more, less is more. And, of course, the best joke is, how comedy works. It's an involuntary laugh. Like, I want to use less words to explain a red ball, and then the last word is a pin that pops it, and you realize it's a blue ball, and you didn't see it coming, and you laughed involuntarily, and that's why the richest comedians are all rated G. All the billionaire comedians are G-rated, and all the raunchy fun ones, they're 100 million or less, because if I came up behind you and went boo, you jump. I don't have to say blank you. I just have to say boo. It's the you didn't see it coming. And man, all of your ads are so geniusly succinct. And then I remember when Yellow Pages came out. I mean, I'd called in and say, why didn't you just go to a 4-font type? I mean, you got like 14,000 things on this ad. I don't even know what you're doing. And half of it was scary, like bleeding gums, pus coming out of your tooth, but I love yours. So I want to read the last 2. Number 7, social distance. Keep toothbrushes apart to avoid spreading germs. Stand them up and allow to drip dry to prevent the growth and spread of bacteria. This is another way social distancing can keep you safe. Reach out to your dentist office if you need us. Now, homies, I want you to go to postformypatients.com, and I want you to find one of these 9 video ads and just try to take one word out of any of Howie's ads, and I don't think you could do it. In number 8 of 9 is in these uncertain times, it's important to check in and check up on friends and family as often as you can. We can't see you now unless you have a dental emergency. Call your dentist. So consider this a virtual check-in. We hope you're healthy and get well. And last but not least is I don't want to talk about a video that talks about eating well. I want donuts. I want steak and ribeyes and a load of big potato. It says, eat well, be well. Are you eating healthy? The last thing you want is a quarantine cavity from too much sugar and junk food. A healthy diet is not only important for good oral care, it's critical for your overall health. Stay well, and if you have a dental emergency, call your dentist. And after reading your 9 gorgeous, succinct messages spot on, and you do marketing not for dentist individuals. I mean, you play with the big boys, Dentsply Sirona. My gosh, and we're old enough to remember when John Miles started that and had the biggest boat on Chesapeake Bay. And then there was Wrigley and the Colgate, the big boys. What are you thinking seriously when you see us dentists write our own ads for our own advertising marketing? Do you just like try not to laugh, or are we kind of in the middle between just complete insanity and where you're at, or what kind of letter grade would you give us?
I've seen some really great ads out there. A lot of it on a local level, and at the end of the day, what matters is if it works. And I think that what comes across with a lot of the advertising that I see is it's authentic. And I think that especially when looking for a new dentist, a new doctor, I think that patients want to have that authenticity, and they want to have that trust. And there's a lot of that out there. And I think that what's also working is the way that people look for healthcare professionals now, as we all know, and the way they look for dentists has changed. And the internet has, really changed so much, in that it used to be all about direct mail postcards, and it used to be about ads in the shopaholic type magazines. Now everything, as we know, is online, and everything is about ratings, and everything is about what other patients are saying, and everything is about those reviews. So it becomes more and more important to create a memorable, wonderful experience for the patients when they're in the practice. And that is what becomes the best form of advertising. And that's what's going to, really help to drive practice growth, by creating that amazing patient experience. I think from a marketing standpoint, there's also more and more help available from the large manufacturers. More and more brands are doing direct to consumer advertising, driving patients to websites that have doc finders on them, where they can find doctors in their area that offer certain types of technology. So, that I think is really helpful for, a lot of the dental practices that are out there today, because at the end of the day, I would never laugh at any ad that any dentist put out there, because dentists are not marketers. Dentists are doctors, and I can't do a root canal. I wouldn't even attempt to. So I think that the doctors that are doing their own advertising, I admire that. And I think that it's very courageous for them to do that. There's also a lot of great companies out there that, specialize in helping practices to build up new patient bases today, using a lot of the, newer technologies, using things like search engine marketing, and, using things like Yelp reviews, and, other online digital tactics. So those companies are great, and I'm always amazed when we go to these trade shows. It's been a while with the pandemic, but now you go down the aisles, and I mean every 3, every 4 booths is another type of marketing company. From companies that specialize in social media to website development, the search engine marketing, whatever it might be. There's a lot of help out there. And I think it makes a lot of sense for a dental practice to establish a marketing budget and put that marketing budget towards hiring those that are out there that are experts in helping to market dental practices.
And just before I get off it, I have so many websites for you. The dentalgeek.com. I know Ed Yasser and Eric and Joe are in that. Is that part of you too? Are you the Dental Geek too?
Yeah, so I'm the, Lanmark360. That's a Lanmark360 property. It's a Lanmark360 blog, and that was really a project that just kind of organically started. I want to say maybe as far as 10 years ago, and that is really just a blog that started out as a blog for anyone that cared, had an interest, liked, was passionate about dentistry. And it didn't matter if you were a dental assistant, if you were a dental sales rep, if you were a marketer within the dental space, if you were, on the distributor side, or even a patient. It was really just a place for anyone who had a passion for dentistry to express themselves. And it's kind of taken a life of its own, and it's grown, and we still contribute content to that regularly. We have a lot of guest authors that write, and it's a great blog that tends to cover some interesting topics. It's also a platform that we use to help a lot of our clients get their information out, and we really try to maintain credibility with the content and really deliver value, and not, just use it as a place to push promotional information, but more so really provide, valuable industry content that anyone who's affiliated with the industry is going to have interest with.
Very, very interesting. So you have so much expertise in advertising and marketing, and if you go to the advertising forum, and my gosh, I love dentists. They're so sweet, but a lot of them are they're concerned about marketing because they're wondering, Well, maybe grandma's better off staying at home and encouraging her to come to my dental office. I would feel terrible if she got out and it's just so sweet. I mean, how do you wrap your mind around dentists who think and some just say, well, I just think it's crass to be advertising during a pandemic when the governor's closing down the bars and the restaurant and you're not supposed to assemble and all this stuff. And then other people are like, that's a personal choice and they're out there marketing. How do you see that emotional issue to market or not market during a pandemic? I mean, when we were little and we were learning about the Spanish influenza, I don't think we ever I wonder what Coca-Cola was advertising during the pandemic. You know what I mean? Or did they
Yeah.
slow down, speed up? So how would you take that emotional issue?
Yeah, so I think that during the earlier stages there was a need to be far more tactful. There's still a level of sensitivity that should be taken into consideration, and that's where I think like a message like the one in the DTA campaign really works nice. We're ready if you're ready. So anyone who's not ready, we're not telling them that, we're not judging them. We're not telling them that they should leave their home if they don't feel ready to leave their home yet. But if they're getting back to life, part of getting back to life is getting back to seeing your dental team. And as you're starting to get back to doing the things that you love and doing the things that you miss and doing those things that are a necessity, like getting a haircut, don't forget to also go see your dentist. As far as overall marketing, I think that the world now is transitioning back to some level of normalcy, and I think that those practices that typically do market should get back to marketing. If there's dental practices that never really believed in or needed to market, that just hasn't been their thing. I don't know that now's the time to take up the hobby. But for those practices that already had, marketing plans in place, I don't think that they should feel hesitant, afraid, or worried about it being the wrong time to be delivering a message to patients about the importance of taking care of themselves. And you're seeing it everywhere. I mean, you're not just seeing it in dentistry. I mean, even the hospitals are sending messages to patients that are telling patients, it's safe to come back now. And we have precautions in place to ensure that it's safe to come back. And you hear so many stories of so many patients that put off important healthcare from things as harsh as the delaying of oncology treatments. And they've been especially like oncology patients, they have such low immune systems. They have very good reason to be scared. But there does become a point, I think, where the patient has to really weigh the risk of leaving their homes versus the risk of ignoring their health. And there are safe ways to get the proper health care. And we have what I believe to be one of the best healthcare systems in the world. And when it comes to dentistry, I mean, dentistry has always really been like the standard. I mean, at least for as long as I know, the standard in infection control and the standard in safety. And other industries really look to dentistry as the benchmark when it comes to things like infection control and safety. So patients should, and I believe patients do, and our research validates, feel very comfortable and safe going back to the dental practice post-pandemic.
So, I want to go back to the Dental Trade Alliance because you and I know what that is, but I don't think the average general dentist knows there's a Dental Trade Alliance. Would you describe it as like the American Dental Association for the dental manufacturers?
That is a great way of describing it. It is a professional association that is specific for dental manufacturers and dental distributors. Dental labs are also members of the Dental Trade Alliance. And, just like the ADA has an annual meeting, the Dental Trade Alliance has a annual meeting, and it's jam-packed with education. There's always great speakers that are brought in from all over the world. Some of those speakers have direct relevance to the industry. Others are from other industries, but have relevance that could be applied to the dental industry. And it's a great place for networking. It's a great place for sharing best practices. And throughout the year, there's all types of resources that are made available for dental manufacturers. Everything from there's something called a mini dental school, and it's like a 4-day program that those that are new, let's say there's a sales rep that comes from the pharmaceutical industry but just joined a dental company, so that sales rep can go through this mini dental school. And it's like a dental 101 course to teach them the basics of dentistry. And that's something that the DTA has, offered for many years now, as long as I can remember. I mean, I think at least 10 or so years. And that's something that's been offered live. And I think, now it's offered virtually. And it's been offered virtually even before the pandemic.
Is Gary Price still the president and CEO of Dental Trade Alliance?
No. So Gary Price retired about, I'd say, 6 months ago, and the new CEO is a awesome gentleman by the name of Greg Chavez, and he comes from the ophthalmology field. And I've had the chance to partner with him on this project, and I got to know him very well. And he really brings some great insight, and he's got a lot of knowledge. And there's a lot of interesting parallels between the dental industry and the ophthalmology industry. And the DTA is in very good hands under his leadership. And I welcome Greg to the industry, and hope that, Howard, you have the chance to meet him at some point. I know you.
Tell him I want to podcast him.
Okay, excellent. I will.
You know why? Because he came from the vision industry, and
yes.
Where they want to see 2020, and 2020 is almost over. I mean, I don't want to see a vision guy at 2021. I mean, that would.
Yeah, we got to get him on right away.
Yeah, he's got to tell him if it's 2021 or later. I don't know what I'm going to do. But and shout out to Gary Price. So he's retired now.
He is.
He's just sitting on the couch eating bombs right now. Well, man, what a legend. And
a lot of wonderful things for the industry.
Yeah. And they have something just like that in many countries. I love the Australian Dental Manufacturers Association. I mean, that's another great one. But my favorite meeting is always Cologne. But I wanted to ask you about that. My gosh, I mean, the Greater New York still hasn't officially canceled, and it seems like a century ago. But I remember when Hinman made the bold decision to stop it. I mean, they canceled the Hinman. That was the first big American meeting that said they canceled. Then they canceled March Madness, and everybody started thinking, damn, I mean, March Madness and the Hinman. And then the Canadians just, it came to, just a call. They went ahead and had their meeting and had some infections. But come on, dude, you're sitting there right now. You're about about a hour's drive from New York City?
Yeah. Pending traffic, could do it in as little as 45, but with traffic, as long as 3 hours.
Do you really think next month after Thanksgiving that we're gonna have a Greater New York meeting?
I don't think so. I don't see that. I'd like to say yes, but I don't see that happening. I don't see how, not with how New York is right now. I mean, New York is pretty much closed down. I mean, there's not much happening there because there's a lot of regulations in place. So I don't see how knowing the capacity of people that show up to the dental show, and there's a lot of international travel. I can't see the show happening. And if it does happen, I mean, it's going to be a much, much different show. But I don't know how they could accommodate that many people with the current regulations that are in place.
Howie, I think one of the reasons I never got sued as a general dentist, it was because whenever someone told me, "Oh, patient Howard Klein's on the phone, he's madder than hell," and then I see dentists get on Downtime. I have this upset patient wanting me to call him. Should I call my dental malpractice or should I call my lawyers? And I'm like, why are you so weird? I just pick up the phone. And I remember one man, it happened to me in 87, and I called at the end of the day when we closed at 7, and I called, and his wife said, "I'm sorry, Dr. Friend, but he's so mad at you, he won't even talk to you." And I'm like, "Well, hey, you know where my dental office is, and I live, I'm going down 48th Street. I'm looking at your address. You're just off Waikoa. Do you care if I just stop by the house and talk to him on the driveway or whatever?" And she's like, but anyway, so I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just drive by because he's right on my way home and I'll just honk." Anyway, he came out and he, long story short, he just wanted a regular cleaning. And then, of course, the hygienist probed him and said it was a deep cleaning and this and that and blah, blah, blah. So I told him, my God, I'll give I'll make duplicates for myself. I'll give you the x-rays. In fact, I'll even drive him. I'll go back to my office, pick him up, and drop him off at my periodontist, who's closed, but I'll drop him out of his house, and then I'll have him call you. And he's like, "Really?" Because I explained to him So I went back to today's dental. I got his FMX. I stopped by my periodontist on the way home, gave him, and told him the deal. He called the guy. But the bottom line is, you just have to have a relationship. And if you have a relationship and two people trust each other and they're transparent, it's a beautiful thing. So how would you look at that relationship between doctor-patient with dental manufacturer dentist? What is their relationship like? Do you think it's one where, because I'm the first to tell you, if you took away about 500 dental companies, I'm sitting outside on a rug with some stuff I bought from Home Depot, chucking teeth, because there's 2 million dentists on Earth for 8 billion people, about a 1 to 6,000 ratio. And about 1 million of them are like us and have the cuspidors and the chairs and all that stuff. And about 1 million of them, you wouldn't think they're dentists, but they know they're dentists. And anybody in their village has a dental problem, they go to there and they sand it down. And remember, 200 years ago, we were barber surgeons. And then the oldest dentist that ever went to my seminar was George Rui, St. Joe, Missouri, 91 years old. And it so blew my mind, I canceled my flight back, and I stayed over the weekend because I wanted to see him work. And it was just crazy. And we got to talking, and I said, "When did you graduate from dental school?" And he said, 27. And I said, "Oh, my God, that right before the 1929 stock market crash, the 1932 to 36 depression." I said, "That must have been horrible." And you know what he said to me? Blew my mind. He goes, "The Great Depression was the best thing that ever happened to dentistry." And I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, when I got out of school, we were all outside because we couldn't afford to go inside. And then the Depression came, and the real estate was all boarded up and empty. And then after all them bankrupted, the prices fell so low that we all moved inside. And what was really neat is when we moved inside, we all in St. Joe, all of us got together and made a pact that we would quit doing hair and boots." And I thought, God dang, man. I mean, when people always sit back and think the world's going to hell in a handbasket and we're all going the wrong way, I mean, just open up a history book. I mean, have you ever read, I bought the G.V. Black is the father of American dentistry, and Pierre Fauchard was a century before him in France. But read G.V. Black. I bought the first 3 books he wrote, autographed and signed by him, and I don't want to tell you what I paid for them, or you're going to think I'm completely mentally insane. And he was talking about trephinating holes above the infected tooth to let out the evil spirits. And of course, when he drew the evil spirits, of course, they all look like court jesters for the kings and queens. I mean, we've come a damn long way. So I'm just, that big rant was to tell you that I love my dental manufacturers. I love my 300 RPM Nightie. I love my CBCT from Carestream. I mean, I got technology. All that stuff makes me look like Superman. And if you took them away, I look like a guy on a rug chucking teeth. So I love them. But how do you summarize the dental manufacturer-dentist relationship? Is it open? Is it transparent? Is it full of trust? Or is it negative, dysfunctional, and deceitful?
No, I think it's definitely open and full of trust. And I think that more and more it's a relationship that is becoming you know, stronger. And I think a lot of that comes from, you know, bringing together the manufacturers and bringing together the dentists. And, you know, I think that dates back to a lot of the work that, you know, you actually did with the launch of Dental Town. And, you know, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about bringing together dentists and dental manufacturers is the cover of Dental Town magazine. And when you first launched that Dental Town magazine, I think it was like year 2 or year 3, you started featuring the manufacturers on the cover. And inside, you talked all about the companies and you interviewed the CEOs, and it gave dentists the chance to, you know, see the face behind the company and see the inner workings of, you know, all these corporations that they have depended on for so long to, like you put it, to basically make them the heroes and give them the tools that they need to, you know, take care of their patients. And I don't think, you know, at that point, until you started doing that, anyone really realized that there was an interest there and that the dentist really cared. And that was proof that the dentists did care and they wanted to know about these companies and they wanted to hear from these CEOs. And I think that that was really the, you know, starting point of bringing the dentists and the companies closer together. And the distributors, you know, play a huge role in that formula as well. But you know, I think that there's been a big shift in that. More and more dentists are now getting to know and understand the companies that are actually behind the products, and that it's not the distributors that actually, you know, make the products. So I think that that's changed a lot also.
And I want to explain what you just said to the young kids who didn't live through this story, because it's one thing when you're mad at some stranger on TV, but it's tougher when you're mad at your mom or your 5 sisters or your 4 boys. I've never been mad at one of the 6 grandchildren yet. By the way, I want to tell you, the other kids all call me grandpa, but one of the 6 is 4, and she calls me Howie, and her mom's always trying to correct her. She's saying, she thinks it's disrespectful. Don't call him Howie. He's your grandpa. And I'm like, hey, if she's 4 and wants to call me Howie, she can call me any damn thing she wants. But so what he just said was, when I was little, you know, the first 10 years we lived in abject poverty in downtown Wichita. My dad delivered rainbow bread. Mom and dad were Catholic. They had 7 kids in like 3 days, and they could afford like 1. And then my dad got into the Sonic Drive-In franchise, and he opened up 1 a year. And when he opened up the first one, he went from like $11,000 a year to $60,000 a year. We moved to the middle class. We got an indoor air conditioner in Dad's window, you know, and I couldn't believe that he's making so much money that he had an air conditioner in his bedroom, just like they have at the store. And, you know, just crazy times. And when it was vacation time, he liked to do 2 things. He liked to go to the biggest roller coaster amusement park you could find. So we went to every 6 Flags over America, Disneyland, all that stuff. But on the way, he would track out all the manufacturers who gave tours. Like, we drove up to Detroit just to see. My dad told him, I'll buy that station wagon if I can watch it be made with my family. And we drove up there, and they pulled us in a little golf cart, and I watched our station wagon go from the front to the end. We stopped at Coors, Budweiser, he's Irish, and all these things. And I just loved it. And when I got out of school, when I started my media company, I already knew so many dentists, and I'd say, like, well, why do you use Ultradense bonding agent? I mean, why don't you use this? And they'll go, my God, I actually met Dan Fisher in an elevator at Chicago Midway. I mean, and it's like, you know, half the dentists are on these small towns. They don't want to buy from a faceless institution, which from a marketing perspective, that's why Americans don't like the government, because they don't know who the president of the IRS and the post office and all these, they're faceless institutions. And when they got to meet the guy, and then I did the same thing with my 4 boys. When we went on vacations, I mean, we went to ADEC and watched a dental chair made from the beginning to the end while Ken Austin, the late Ken Austin, and Joanne walked with us. And then, I mean, Fred Joyle, 1-800-DENTIST, was telling them how to answer the phone, and actually put my little boys on the chair with the headphones on and had someone else pretending they were calling. And I mean, they've seen every dental company, all the majors in 50 countries. Like when we went to Australia, I was lecturing in Sydney, and our whole family took an extra flight to Melbourne just to go to SDI, Strategic Dental International, or whatever that makes all the amalgams and composites. I mean, they've seen all. And so I did, based on my love of my dad and my this tradition. I mean, we're like third generation doing this, and I'd put the guy on the cover. And it's like, this is the guy that makes you look great. And what did the dumbass dentists say? It's always about them. They're like, oh, it's a dental rag, and it's some whorehouse. They're putting an advertiser on the cover, and I, you know me. I was piss and vinegar when I was young. Now I'm just mature and wise and all that stuff. But I'd say screw you. I own the freaking company. That's why I have a column each month, because when the ADA published me 4 times, but after they edited out all my colorful rhetoric, I didn't even know what the hell, who wrote it. They'd say, oh, that's yours. And I'd read the before, perfect. And then the ADA 4 times afterwards. And after the ADA published me 4 times, I said, well, the only way I'm going to get the message out is just do it myself. But the dentist said it was a rag. So I want to remind you, Dennis, how utterly ridiculous you are, because when I started, I was a purist. I started at the Ferran Report, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. 5 years, I said, no advertising. It's $10 an issue. It's $120 a year. And 4,000 dentists signed up for it for 5 years. And all the other dentists say, well, I don't even have the time to read all the other ones. So, I don't have $10 a month. And you're like, okay, so if I'm going to get my column out to everyone, I got to do the regular business model. I got to, instead of charging $10 an issue, it's going to be free. And then I'm going to sell advertising. And then what do they say? Well, it's just a rag. There's advertising in there. So as you get older, the same patterns. Now I'm, almost 60, and I have 60-year-old millionaire dentists emailing me, calling me, and texting me and say, hey, that article you just posted, it's from the Wall Street Journal or the Financial Times or the Economist or the New York Times and the Washington, whatever Bezos owns, and it's behind a paywall. Can you just copy and paste and text to me? I'm like, you piece of crap. You make $200,000-$400,000 a year. You want journalism. Oh, but you don't want to pay for it. And then when you get the free journalism from, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, you say, oh, well, Fox is owned by the Republicans and CNN's, and, I don't trust it. Well, what is it? You don't trust it, or you don't want to pay $10? I mean, grow some cojones and either pay for journalism or shut up. Maybe you should just shut the, I can't say that, but the bottom line is, gosh darn, sometimes dentists, you can't please them, and, you can't do right for wrong. I mean, I think you should pay for quality dentistry. I think you should pay for quality journalism. But if anybody tries to do that model, you're going to have a very, very, very small business, because you got an American public who thinks healthcare should be free. They think journalism should be free. And, free is pretty much usually what the value of it's pretty much what you paid for it. So I wish I could go back. And I like Colgate and Wrigley. I mean, you are so elite. You play with Dentsply Sirona. That's like the biggest company in dentistry. Now that Danaher spun off Invista, probably Dentsply Sirona is bigger than them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got the biggest Dentsply Sirona. You got Colgate Wrigley. I would love to have the CEO of Colgate on the cover and talking about all things Colgate. And I'd love to have the CEO on the cover of Wrigley. I would push that. Mary Lou, the head, and Lori, the president, they'd probably shoot me. But I wish we could go back to that. And every time I bring it up, since we quit doing that about 5 years ago, the team says, Howard, no, the dentist, they if you put a dental manufacturer on the cover, they call it a rag, a throwaway. It's not journalism. I'm just like, okay, but dentists are crazy, right? Right? I mean, well, Howard, what percent of dentists would you say are batshit crazy? And I'm talking about as crazy as me.
Howard, I think there might be a solution to this, though. So maybe it's time to try something new. Maybe there's a new way of doing this. I mean, you talk about your childhood, you talk about these road trips that you took with your dad, and then the tradition of taking your kids. And I mean, everybody loves tours like that. I mean, it reminds me of Willy Wonka, right? It reminds me of going on the tour of Willy Wonka World. And, relating that to something that we did in dentistry, you mentioned Colgate. I mean, 6 or so years ago, we were running bus trips from the Greater New York show to the Piscataway facility that Colgate has.
I was on that bus.
You were on that bus.
Who was the double doctor? Foti?
Dr. Foti, yes.
Yeah, double doc. I always call him double doctor. Yeah. He's a dentist and a PhD. But I agree.
Yeah, I agree. And that was very well received, and there was CE attached to it. I mean, it was a great event. The experience started as soon as you got on the bus, and there was CE that was attached to it. But you essentially got to get an inside look at what happened, inside the Innovation Center in Piscataway, New Jersey. So maybe there's something through video that could be done where you visit these facilities and you basically go on a tour and you see how that Dentsply Sirona chair is made. You see how a CEREC system is made. You see how, Colgate toothpaste is made. And that could be great content to push out on social media. And, I'd recommend that it's something that's tested. I mean, you keep mentioning the younger dentists. What do they think of that? Is that something that interests them? And, I think research is really an important topic to touch upon in that, I've been doing this at Lanmark360 for over 20 years. We have some newer, team members. We have other team members that have been doing this longer than I have. And, through the years, you learn a lot. But even with all the knowledge that, I've accumulated through the years, the knowledge that I pick up from talking to people like you, we still, whenever possible, we always do research and we always gain insights from the dental professionals themselves because things change. And, we always really want to know what our target audience is really looking for and what really matters to them. And it might be good to do a little bit of research and see what these newer dentists are looking for. And, what is it that they would want from manufacturers? What is it that manufacturers can do to help them? What can manufacturers offer? Instead of us guessing, it could be really great to really find out from these newer dentists that are entering the industry what they want from dental manufacturers, and maybe bounce this idea off of them. What would you think of video tours of a factory of some of the leading dental manufacturers to see how their technologies are made?
And let me tell you how that helped me. I remember, oh my gosh, Peter Brasler. Did you ever meet Peter Brasler down in, oh my God, you go to dinner with that guy. He was the funnest dinner date you could ever have. But anyway, long story short, since I had toured the factory, I remember one time I had like 3 of his burrs in a row break. And Jan said to me, she goes, what's wrong with that? But I remembered in the factory that it's breaking right where the 2 were being soldered. So I picked him up, called the guy, told him exactly, and he goes, "Are you serious? What's the batch number?" And I told him, and then he called me back like 4 hours later and said, "Oh my God, it's still broke. We're still making broken burrs." And then when I was in and then as far as quality, I mean, I remember going to Germany when I went to the Cologne meeting. I did the Cavo tour. I did the Williams Ivoclar deal. And like, dentists, they just don't get it. Like 3M, my oldest sister, her convent is in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. So whenever I go visit my oldest sister, who's a nun, I had to do business for 4 hours and 1 minute. So I would fly up, and I'd either go to 3M or Patterson, and I'd bother Pete Frechette for 4 hours and 1 minute, then go, or I'd go over to. But the 3M, when you were down there, and you see like they have like 60 PhDs in white coats. And I would ask them a question on Dental Town. They go to the grease board and draw out all the organic chemistry. And then the dentists, they're like, "Well, I'm not going to listen to a manufacturer because they're selling stuff. They're a bunch of whores trying to make money." And it's like, yeah. So then they go listen to a dentist speaker who's like, I want a bonding agent that's not acetone. I want one with alcohol or vinegar or cheese goop or whatever. And they're mixing and matching these kits. They don't know their ass from second base. And you take any of those, the biggest legends, not all of them, I mean, John Kanka would know this stuff, but most of them have no idea what they're talking about. And then you go to Cologne meeting, they don't have any middlemen dentists giving lectures about shit they don't understand. And the German dentists, remember Germany, I don't know if you're aware of Germany, but they make Mercedes-Benz and your country makes Chrysler. Okay, that's all you need to know. And you go to those companies and all the dentists from around the world, they say, well, I want to talk to the CEO of the company. I mean, he's the one making this implant or this bonding agent or this and that. And they sell liquor. I mean, it's free liquor at all the booths there. So if you're Irish, you can't do that at the Greater New York. And I just think it's not a good culture. I mean, if you want to make the culture of dentistry better, quit treating the CEOs of dental manufacturers like they're salesmen. And one dentist said to me, he goes, well, they're just trying to sell something. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were a public health dentist that only did free volunteer. Do you do your free dentistry at St. Vincent de Paul, or are you at the Indian Public Health Service? Or are you some stupid idiot in Beverly Hills charging $1,500 for a crown that you got from Glidewell for $99? I mean, so what it is treat other people like you want to be treated, and you don't want everybody to come into your dental office and think you're just some guy trying to sell something. You want to be a respectable dentist. And these dental company CEOs, I mean, usually by the time they're a CEO, they've been working their way up through the ranks for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, or they're the founder of the company. So dentists just need to get off their high horse, and they do the same thing with dental advertising. When you're at the ADA, it's kind of eerily creepy that the headquarters of Delta Dental is down the block. And then I'm sitting there saying, well, for 30 years, every time I go in there, I say, why are dentists thinking their plastic fillings last longer than amalgam? I mean, Delta's got millions of claims crunched every year for years, and they don't talk. And they don't talk because Delta will give this average dentist, a couple $100,000 a year, where they go out and sell dental insurance to real companies to subsidize dentistry, and then they won't cover an implant or something, and the dentist will write him a letter, "Dear asshole, guys like you ruining dentistry, you're evil." I was at a Delta meeting just a couple weeks ago, and this guy was up there, basically, going after the CEO saying, well, my fee is $1,200, and to be a part of Delta, I have to adjust off $300. And I'm like, dude, forget him and forget his employer. Why don't you go straight to the people and sell your bullshit crown for $1,300? I mean, are you so entitled you can't comprehend that you can't sell this directly to the public at $1,300? So you're yelling at him because he actually goes out and sells it. And to do this deal, you've agreed to this volume discount. It's not one person. You got 100 patients from him. I mean, there's so many dentists are so irrational about their place. When you go to any other industry, it's the value chain. My dad, the guy who sold him $1 million of meat each year for 9 hamburger stores, that our families went on vacation together. The bread man, all the value chain work together. I'm here in Phoenix where we have Intel. Those Intel people, their value chain, in fact, half the little small companies around Arizona move their manufacturing facility just to be near the plant so they can communicate better. Henry Ford, when he owned Ford, everything was made right at Ford. Same thing with Adolph Coors. Everything there was in Denver. And then look at Boeing. Boeing, had to, they had planes falling out of the sky. And think about it. They make the plane in Seattle, the management's in Chicago, and the fuselages are made in Wichita, Kansas. How dysfunctional is that? And what dentists need to do is they need to sit there and realize that I know they all think they're all that in a bag of chips, but you are a product of your value chain. And the insurance companies are a part of it, the dentists are a part of it, the manufacturers are a part of it, and the community's a part of it. And, you got to get all the stakeholders together and Notre Dame, numerator over denominator. On the top line, you got the dentist, the insurance, the manufacturers, all that stuff, but it's all divided by the patient. And if you keep one eye on the patient, one eye on cost, and treat everyone like you want to be treated, it's really easy. So, just get off your high horse, quit being all that, quit being a prima donna, and start working with your value chain. I'll give you a checklist to prove, because you're sitting there thinking, well, Howie, I'm not like that. No, you are like that. Go to the comments on YouTube and answer the question. You get $100,000 a year from the dental insurance company in your state. Can you name the CEO? Can you pick him out of a police lineup? Have you ever had a burger with him or a beer? I mean, when I got to Arizona, at the end of the first year, my dad was friends with Dan Carney. He was the founder of Pizza Hut, and him and Dad flew out, and because I was right next to a Pizza Hut. And Dan was looking at my books. Back then it was on pegboard systems and all that stuff. Dan was looking at my income revenue, and the first thing he said was, who is Delta Dental of AZ? And I said, Delta Dental in Arizona. And he says, who's the CEO of that? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, God dang, Howie, if someone gave me $400,000, I'd drop to my knees and blink the son of a bitch. And, so I'm on the phone calling Ed Judd, and I'm like, Ed, I'd like to take you out for lunch. And he thought it was a trick. I mean, he'd been abused and bitten by so many dentists, their ugly letters. And to this day, we are sitting here, I'm wearing orange today because it's Halloween, the month of Halloween. And I'm just trying to look like a big, fat, bald pumpkin. I thought that'd be pretty scary. And, and ask him, say, Delta Dental has got 100 million claims, and we'll pick the same tooth, number 3, MOD amalgam versus MOD composite. How long did they last? And you call Marco Vicocek, the head economist of the ADA, who came from the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and is absolutely the smartest healthcare economist in dentistry on the entire globe, because I've heard that said at Cologne. I've heard it said all around the world. They say it in many, many countries. And, he's been on the show a couple times, and he can't even go to Delta and get the data, because it's like Russia, the United States, or, China or whatever. I mean, it's just like they kind of look at us like, whoa, stay back over there. But when you drink with them, and if you get them drunk enough, they'll show you the data that if you take the same tooth and an endodontist does the molar root canal, 5 years later, 5% of them are extracted. But if a general dentist does it, 10% are extracted. Why isn't all of this knowledge so that we can start explaining to dentists the importance of finding the 4th canal that's in every frickin' first molar? But you're not going to have the data because you abuse them. I'll never forget when I went to CDA, Delta's, it's got like 38 different Delta franchises, but the Delta California, at the time I was lecturing down there, had done $1 billion of insurance. I said to the CEO, I said, so when do you speak? I'm going to get on my, and he's like, when do I speak? I've never been asked to speak ever. In fact, guess who is speaking? Bill Dickerson from LVI. And guess what the name of his lecture is? Delta or the Devil. He said, how would you like to sell $1 billion of insurance to these entitled blah, 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 blah. I can't even say it on my show, and I'm Dentistry Uncensored. And then never asked to speak, and then they bring in people that call you the devil in a Christian country. It's 80% Christian or something. I mean, it's just, it's so dysfunctional, and it's so embarrassing. And what I love the most about this show is 25% of the listeners are still in dental kindergarten, and all the rest are under 30. I mean, I hardly ever get an email of anyone over 30, because by the time they're 30, they'd know I'd be an idiot, and they'd be listening to a smarter podcast by someone else. They would have graduated from me. But, guys, just you're not all that in a bag of chips. We got 8 billion people stuck on a rock. And if you're so damn smart, tell me, why are you stuck on a rock? I mean, really, you can't get off this rock. Only 12 people stood on the moon. That's not even another planet. We're all stuck on a rock. We're one species. We have no races. There's no breeds. We're one species. We got 2 million dentists, and we need to work together. And that's going to mean the dentists are going to have to work with the hygienists, who they go and get lawyers to pass laws to make it illegal for them to set up their own office. Is that an indentured servant? Is it an economically violent slave? I mean, where does this come from? And if you could just get all the dentists to just relax and get off their high horse and get along with the manufacturers, the insurance, the public health, everybody work together and everybody just keep their one eye on the patient, one eye on costs, then Americans are going to have the freedom to afford to keep their teeth. That's my final rant.
Well said.
Well said. All right. Well, Howie, thanks for, when I switched from, pay for zero advertisement to we're going to start selling ads, and we brought on Pete Janicki, and he was just an amazing man.
Yeah, I miss Pete.
And he stayed with us for a decade, but so many times we were at the fork of the road. Me and Pete and Lori and Mary Lou, we'd all sit down, and so many times, if they ever said, well, what would Howard do? They weren't talking about me. They were talking about you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Howard. Tell everybody I said my best, especially Mary Lou and the whole team. And Dr. Giacobbe, you didn't mention him at all.
Oh, he's the second longest employee on the team. I think he's like a month behind Lori and Ken. Lori, Pete, Lori, Ken. My God, yeah. I mean, and that's and let me just say that's a perfect segue for management. It's just the same as sports. You have all these people like in football, in the NFL. This guy only studies quarterbacks. This guy only does wide receivers. This guy only does running backs. And they find everyone available, and then they pick the best guy. And if you get the best guy, you don't ever have to do anything. You don't have to manage them, and they make you look great. And then if you get someone that's not so great, you're going to lose the game. He's going to throw an interception, and you spend all your time on managing, and then on the end you look bad. And it's so weird because when people say, well, what's the key to management? People, time, and money. Find the best damn people you can get on the team. Get the hell out of their way. Don't micromanage them. Don't tell them what to do. And if you get the best people, you don't manage, and then they think, oh, Howie's a good manager. No, I'm not. I'm a good get the right guy on the team. And look at the NFL. How hard is it to find the perfect quarterback? And if you find a great quarterback and you put him on your team, oh yeah, sometimes he'll piss you off because he's deflating the footballs and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, did you catch that joke?
Yeah.
But just find the best people, get out of their way. And if you and I would love to do a podcast with the new gentleman at the Dental Trade Alliance. And I already did Don Casey, the CEO of Dentsply. That was an amazing podcast. And that was 1452, and that was just amazing. Who would it be at? Who would be the best guy? Would it be for like my homies Wrigley? They don't know that that's owned by Mars. And they don't know that the Wrigley Oral Health Program is. I mean, if you ask 100 dentists about Wrigley Spearmint Gum, they wouldn't know it's owned by Mars. They wouldn't know that Wrigley had it. But would that be Grant Reed?
I think so. He'd probably be the best, yes.
Well, if you can get him to come on the show, it'd be awesome. And who would you recommend from Colgate?
I'd have to give that some thought. There's a lot of great candidates, but I think we could arrange something there.
Well, my last little tip on Colgate, did you know there's no word for toothpaste in over half the countries? Like Kleenex. They came out with Kleenex, and then when someone says, when they start using it as a verb, well, will you hand me a Kleenex? You lose your trademark. And now people say, give me a Kleenex, and it's not made by Kleenex. This is made by Kleenex. I'm brand loyal. Same thing with a Xerox copy. Once people start saying, well, you go Xerox that, and they knew it was at a Canon copier, Xerox loses their trademark for that. And Colgate is the only word for toothpaste in about 4 out of 5 countries that I've lectured in. Mom will say, put some Colgate on that, but the kid might be putting one of 1,000 different brands on there. But Kleenex, Xerox copy, and Colgate are really not patentable or trademarkable for advertising because it's just the common name. But Howard, you probably got better things to do than rant to me all day. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And thank you for all that you've done for dentistry. And please tell Jim Raffone that I'm going to try to push out the Jar of Hope. And
that would be wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and hopefully God bless James Anthony Raffone, and we hope he finds the love and the hope and the strength to beat this this Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So on that note,
wonderful. Thank
have a great day.
Much.